The name of the channel is Casual. The reason for this is quite simply because I'm a working man, a family man, and therefore I don't have as much time as I like to watch or read as much stuff as I like. It's true, I'm still working on catching up on a lot of stuff like Loki, Moon Knight, Peacemaker, etc. Anyway, this channel will be discussing nerdy content like Marvel, DC, God of War, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ben 10 and so on. I can't promise to discuss each and every topic that everyone wants, so I won't. For the record, I'm making this video with CapCut and the cheapest microphone I could afford, so don't expect the best of the best. To start this channel off, I'd like to take a moment to discuss a topic that I've heard discussed time and time again. James Gunn's Superman. This isn't going to be a really deep dive, as I want to keep this first video a bit short. So I won't be discussing everything about it, just a general review. Spoiler warning, by the way. The plot basically is that Superman has been around for a while and has been publicly known for 3 years. Lex Luthor wants to get rid of him and therefore help start a war between the powerhouse country of Baravia and the neighbouring country Jaranpur. Superman interferes and basically nearly ends the war, and because of that he receives a lot of judgment. Lex then uses Superman's interference along with a hacked recording of his parents to get permission to deal with him. There are a few characters in the film that I want to talk about before I delve into my overall opinion. Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Superman. I plan to make separate videos for each of them, but for now I'm just going to do a brief summary. Start with Hawkgirl. In the few minutes of screen time she's in, she's quite entertaining. She's witty.
Not our name, it's just a working name.
Could very well prove to be permanent, though.
Probably not.
Sarcastic.
Where's the creamer?
On the counter where it always is.
I think the actress does a good job of playing her.
The freak, like Superman.
I'm not like Superman.
She's also shown to be a badass. There's not much else to say. I think one problem with the character is we aren't really told much about her in the film. Which is fine, because this is supposed to be a lived-in world that doesn't need a lot of origin stories. But still, the point remains that she doesn't have much screen time. A problem also shared slightly lessly with... Also, I have mixed feelings on her outfit. I like it, but it also seems a little plain to me in comparison to the Hawkgirl I've known the best, the one from the Justice League cartoon. Still, solid character. Then there's Mr. Terrific, played by who a lot of people will know as the actor who got killed playing the unkillable character. For me, he steals every scene he's in. James Gunn is known for taking comparatively unknown characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy and Peacemaker and making them popular. He does the same for Mr. T, whom I'd only ever seen in the Arrowverse before this.
So am I.
What's your toy doing?
It's detecting the resonance frequencies upstairs. It's not a toy, it's a t-shirt.
He steals the show in every scene that he's in, and I would happily watch more of him. Perhaps in a TV show, or maybe his own live-action film. Moving on to Guy Gardner, who is played by Nathan Fillion, who is no stranger to working with James Gunn.
Yeah, I got one of those too. I mean, this one I love. I'm so proud. You're doing great. So proud of you. But this one,
I once saw a clip from an interview where he mentioned that he had to fight for the comic accurate haircut, which is brilliant. My first ever time seeing Guy was in Batman the Brave and the Bold cartoon. And it was quickly established that he was the guy who we loved to hate.
What, are you kidding? Agitating's the best part.
He didn't listen, he was brash, arrogant. One of the show's most famous clips is of Batman knocking him out.
To sneeze without my permission, you're going to regret it.
That I'd like to see. One punch. One punch.
Get him on his feet.
Just for the record, I let you do that.
In another scene, he antagonizes a prisoner and ends up making him stronger, and an entire problem for the Green Lantern Corps. At the end of which, everyone just instantly seems to be done with Guy, like it wasn't the first time that this had happened.
Yeah, boy.
Guy Gardner in this film is, in my opinion, a bit too fun to hate. Obviously, there's moments or two where I can tell that we're supposed to hate him, but I just kind of like the character too much, or at least this version of him. I'd like to go into more detail about him in a future video, but I just want to say my favourite scene of his was just him saving a child while chewing gum. Moving on to Superman. Was James Gunn's Superman weak? A lot of people had claimed that he was, ever since the trailer dropped, where he was shown to be lying in what I saw one comment refer to as the Yamcha pose. He was beaten up, covered in blood, not something we often see from Superman, and not anything I can recall ever seeing from Zack Snyder's Superman, at least off the top of my head. That's the one that people are mostly comparing him to, with the obvious exception of his death scene and when he got cut by the spawn of dead Martha.
Why did you say that name?
But the thing is, he isn't exactly weak, if you look at it properly. As I've said before, I'll go into more detail in a future video, but to be brief, the film basically stated that Superman had never lost once in 3 years, and the first time he did lose was against a clone of himself who was being controlled by genius mind Lex Luthor. Superman also doesn't make it easy for the clone and more than holds his own against him in the later fights, even during a 2-on-1. One thing I did like about the Superman was his personality. Zack Snyder's Superman had some good things going for it. I really liked his costume, for example, though the colour in Man of Steel wasn't that great. His fight scenes were also really good, and I liked Henry Cavill, but his personality was just some comparatively bland. This Superman reminded me more of the one from Justice League, the animated series. He got sad and happy
Superman.
and angry. That to me is one of the points of Superman. He's an
Recently,
all-powerful being
he's
who
come
doesn't
under a
see
lot of
himself
fire
as such.
for what some might.
He's as human as anyone else. I once read a comment on YouTube regarding the scene where Lex Luthor kills the man who helped Superman out of the hole at the start of the movie. When he dies, Superman lets out a cry, not really able to do much as he was weak from kryptonite poisoning. The comment I read had stated, and I'm paraphrasing a bit because I couldn't find it again, that Superman should have held in his emotions, internalized it, and expressed it as rage. I, for one, am glad that he doesn't. A Superman whose emotions are limited to angry, blank, really sad, and small smiles is comparatively less interesting. Onto the film itself, I think there's an odd situation going on where people either fully love it or completely hate it. Any hate and you're labelled a Snyder fanboy. If you like it, then you're labelled as a gun rider. At least I think that that's the term. Either way, I want to discuss the negatives and positives of the film from my point of view. Firstly, let's start with the negatives. I wasn't really a fan of the whole relationship drama between Lois and Superman. I applaud them for not going for the whole overdone secret identity thing. But I'm not a fan of this. I'm not saying it's bad writing or even that it's a stupid idea, merely that I'm not a fan. I can't speak for anyone else, but I am personally very tired of characters in relationship with heroes that make things harder for the main character. I understand that in real life people are obviously complicated, but from a film perspective, I'd really just like to have a movie where there is no relationship drama, where we have a character that doesn't cause problems for the main character who is trying to save the world. One thing we could have done is lean into the more journalistic aspect of Lois Lane and spend more time with her trying to uncover Luthor's plans. Another thing we could do is go into her family history like her military father, or another idea is her investigating the Hammer of Bravia and discovering before Superman that he's a clone and then telling him about it. There are other things that people smarter than me could think of, but the point is, I think that there were other options available to this film besides relationship drama. One important thing to discuss is the costumes. The engineer's costume is pretty good, seeing as he's basically supposed to be made from nanomachines. Ultraman's costume really fits the tough yet blank clone inside of it. The Justice Gangs I have mixed feelings about, just because they all look quite similar. You could argue that's intentional, because they're a team, probably. But it's just a nitpick of mine, since they all seem to be made of the same white material. Still, I do like the costumes. Superman's costume is the one that people are most divided about, obviously with some preferring Henry Cavill's or Christopher Reeve's or so on. I did like the costume for the most part, but I will be honest in saying that I hope to see an improved version of it in the future. One that preferably looks less padded and with less random lines on it. The symbol isn't my favourite one, but that's another nitpick as it is still a pretty solid symbol. Another problem I had is with the pacing of certain scenes. For example, when the kaiju is released, they go from let it go bigger to then cutting to a scene of a dog barking up at it. before Superman flies in and saves the dog, therefore allowing us to see the full size of the kaiju as it roars in pain, since it's done the equivalent of stepping on a Lego. The scene could have been better in my opinion if we had slowed the scene down, perhaps shown a few more people reacting to it, or maybe had a shadow appear before it did, or just basically something to make its size appear more impressive. We're told it would get bigger, and then by the time it's big, we don't get much time to appreciate the size of it before the scene becomes an action scene. My final problem with this is that in some scenes there feels like there's so much going on. For example, in the scene where the Justice Gang is fighting against a monster while Clark is talking with Lois, the background just feels far too distracting. Another example is when Superman is being dragged by the river, trying to save a mutant baby, as he does, and then uses his freeze breath to help him escape from the river. There's just so much going on through the whole scene with so many bright colours. Compare it to another James Gunn product, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The Yondu Arrow scene had so much going on, but it's far slower and with much less colour, so you can appreciate more of the details. Now onto the positives. The actors all do a good job in their roles. I enjoyed Lex and Clark, everything about them was damn near perfect. Clark practically breathed out hope, while Lex Luthor was just so much of a hater that he not only started an entire war just to kill Superman, but he also created an army of monkey bots to sprout crap about him online, even though he was probably smart enough to create an AI program to do the same thing. And if it wasn't obvious, these monkey bots are essentially a shot taken to anyone who sprouted hate on the movie before it came out, and all the random people who are still just hating on the movie no matter what it does. The action scenes were good, specifically Mr. Terrific at the camp and the gang in Baravia. They don't have the same impact as the Snyderverse, but they're still enjoyable. There's character growth, funny scenes, obligatory setup for the next movie, and cameos and all that jazz. Gunn does a good job of making it seem like a lived-in universe. Surprisingly, I can't really tell who my favourite character here is. It's between Mr. T, Soups, and Guy Gardner. Hope to see more of all of them. I'm not going to say that the film is perfect, as others do, nor will I say it's completely horrible, as some do. As of now, I'd put the film between a 7 to 8 out of 10. Great, but it could have been better. Checking out a few online reviews, they more or less say the same thing. Either way, I think this is a good start to DC's universe. I can't help but feel like if this exact same film had come out before Man of Steel, then it'd be a lot better received. Still, I'm looking forward to seeing more of this universe. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It's my first on the channel, so let me know how I did, and see you next time.